I don't think it's really a French thing. I mean, it's bottled in France, but I don't know how French it is. Oh, Kim, you got to stop doing that. People are going to lose their mind.
Okay, I'm eating poke because I'm Asian.
All right, that's good, but it's going to make people crazy if you're eating on here.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care, but just, probably don't do it. Anyway, welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name is Ben, here to answer your shooting questions. On deck today, we got Mr. Kim. Say hello.
Hi.
You're 30
Hello.
now, right?
I am 30 now.
Well, by the time people hear this, you'll be 30.
Yeah, but I look like 18 still because I'm Asian.
You do look like 18 because
Internally 30.
And somebody who's a bit older than 30, but not that much. Matt Hopkins, say hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Fuck.
What?
Oh, well, sorry. Before we get to the questions, I got a couple business things to take care of. Number one, first and foremost, Skills and Drills Reloaded. I know it's been a long time on this. The editor's mom died, and then like his dad died, and then his fucking dog died, and then he got sick, and he's coughing up blood. Anyway, despite all those excuses, the book is finally nearing publication. We're about a week away from the hard proof. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good upgrade if any people are interested in that. And people coming to a Skills and Drills class in the U.S. after April almost certainly are going to be getting that one instead of the old one, because I like to give out books in classes. So that's a good thing. I'm quite happy about that. The other thing, go to bensteiger.com, click on Take a Class. There's a lot of classes on there to take if you're so inclined. I'm pretty well full for the year. I don't think I'll be taking any more bookings. Even if people ask real nice. I've got some personal things I want to do. I'm going to take a trip with my boys at the end of November, so I can't do any stuff late November, early December. Then it's Christmas, and then it's looking at 2019 already. So, shit, the year's pretty well booked. Kim, don't you have an announcement along those lines?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would you like to make it?
My teaching's pretty good. It's fun. I'm using high tech for analyzing people's grips and stuff. So if you want to get good, contact me, hkimshooting.com.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And Matt, what if I want something with which to get good? Like, how about this? What if I want to skip getting good and I just want to buy skill?
I would get some Federal Premium Action Pistol Syntec ammo.
Great. And what kind of gun should I shoot that through?
Shadow 2 would probably be the best for that, yeah.
All right. Well, my recommendation would be, actually the Federal ammo is pretty good. Shit. It's gotten cheaper, too. They make it cheaper. That was the main problem with it when it came out. It was kind of made for action pistol, but it's like as much as FMJ, but it's got a coated bullet. It just seemed a bit strange. They've made it better now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, if you don't want to buy factory ammo, if you make it better, you can try Blue Bullets. We're doing all the ads today. Go to the bluebullets.com, discount code Steger. That's my last name. And you get a discount if you'd like to try them. And if you say, fuck you, Ben, I load black bullets or I buy Federal Syntec, I'll say, well, that's cool. If you're happy, if you like your bullets, you can keep them. I don't give a shit. Just saying, if you want to try them, we could try them. Or not, or whatever. Fuck me. All right, let's get to the questions. Because that's what people come here for. Number one. What do you think most beginner shooters lacking in terms of pre-stage prep during the walkthrough? This guy wrote this wrong. What do you think most beginning shooters are lacking in terms of pre-stage prep during the walkthrough? I think my biggest weakness right now is not taking the necessary time to visualize a run enough so that a plan gets ingrained in my head and I end up shooting in a panic rather than smoothly. So what do you think about this? Kim, you're the mental game guy here.
Mm-hmm.
Hopkins is too lazy and I'm too stupid, so we gotta kick this to you. What do most beginners lack in terms of pre-stage prep?
Yeah. So walkthrough is, of course, what everybody does in USPSA. And basically, it's kind of like math. If your brain is
Did you say
not
it's like
familiar
meth
with
or like math?
math,
Okay, that's
like
what I thought, but I
not
wanted
the
to
drugs,
clarify.
math.
Okay, I don't
Okay,
know.
so if your brain capacity, or if let's say smartness is not on par with, let's say, middle schoolers, you're most likely be counting with your fingers. So what I'm trying to make point over here is people who shot 10 years, 20 years already know what to look for in their walkthrough. So for example, all the cues, if they're doing walkthrough, they'll be looking at where to stop and what's the index point of the stopping and all that kind of information. People know it already. In those scenario, if the person knows already what to look for, then the time it takes to do walkthrough and also the repetition of the memorization can be way lower than the beginner shooters.
Hey,
So,
can I give an example, Kim? Just an interjection.
mhm.
So it's kind of like when people learn to read. They can, after a while, they'll just look at a few key letters in a word, like the first letter, the last letter, a few letters in between, and they can recognize words very quickly without even reading all the letters. That's why I don't know. Maybe you've seen like a mind game thing where a bunch of word or a bunch of letters are omitted from words, but you can still read clearly and understand the meaning.
Yeah,
I mean, people learn to recognize patterns in that way on stages as well. Is that a good example for you, Kimmy?
very good one.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Carry on.
So for beginner people, they don't have that information. They don't know really what to look for, but they start doing research and start reading Ben's book.
Yeah,
Now
they
they
do.
have some knowledge about what to look for, and then also experimenting them in matches. So there's not really necessary time to say, hey, it takes 1 minute, 2 minutes. It also depends on your brain ability to memorize things. But also, there's a pressure situation if you're shooting IPSC. There's only 3 minutes and stuff. Some people tend to not memorize very well in that 3 minutes pressure thing. So I definitely recommend people to do that process in the live fire or dry fire training. So you can actually develop what you actually have to look for in order to make that draw right. Where do you have to touch? Where is your index points? Also, do movement drills, and also maybe if you have possibility to run some stages in dry fire or live fire, you start developing what you have to look for, what you have to look at in order to make that draw or reload possible. What do you have to program in your mind in your walkthrough, like where you touch, how your gun angle is looked for, all those things. So if you are a beginner shooter, you better get work on those sectors in your dry fire too. Not just repetition, but you also do walkthrough and then see if that works. So in that sense, there is no really time limit or how many visualization you're supposed to do. It's just
Okay.
enough to remember.
Okay. Hopkins, what do you think most beginning shooters suck at during their walkthrough?
Shit, finding all the targets first. Like how beginner are we talking about?
Uh, I don't know. You just respond intuitively. How about I can tell you what I think. You tell me what you think about it. I'll fucking lifeline this shit for you. How's that sound?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So I think at the most basic level, people do not memorize the stage. And by memorize, I think the easiest standard is can you close your eyes and see where all the targets are and see your way through the stage in the first person without having to think about it too hard. So you close your eyes, like, okay, 3 targets over here on the left. I'm going to reload, move to the right. Then there's 2 targets as I move up. All right, then I'm going to look left. I'll see 3 more targets, and then reload, move forward, and so on. I mean, if you can see all of it in the first person, then that's a well-memorized stage. The whole idea here is you need to be able to execute it without having to think about it. There should be no sort of indecision about where to go or what to do next. Does that sound good so far, Hopkins?
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right. Then beyond that, a lot of people kind of in the middle are not good at recognizing what it is they can do on the stage. So, I mean, like, if there's 2 positions, they might look at a stage and see 2 shooting positions close to each other. And a more advanced shooter might understand the options better and look at that and be like, okay, well, I'm going to shoot on the left as I work my over to the right and then twist over and just continue shooting. So kind of shoot it as one as opposed to two. So they kind of look at, like, better shooters look at stages and see things differently, and they don't see it sort of as rote as they see it on the ground. And then at the top level shooters look at stages sort of very clinically, and they see all the options first before they go through and start counting out round count and deciding where they're going to reload. They actually look at the stage, big picture first, big picture to small picture, and they see more options that way. How's that sound, Hopkins?
Sounds really good. I think the only thing I would add is the more experienced shooters. Fuck you.
What? I did good, man.
No, you did really good, but you said fuck me, so I had to say fuck you.
Oh, well, yeah, fuck you. But also, then you said fuck me, and the only guy missing out on this is Hopkins. No, I'm sorry,
Swanson.
Kimmy.
Kimmy, get in there. You say fuck.
He's
No,
not
I
going
have
to
to. I have to repent first to say that word.
Do you not have to say
Okay.
that word? Don't do anything you're not comfortable with, Kim.
The
Don't let
only
him
thing I
pressure
would
you.
add is that the more experienced shooters know what to, like, just forget about that doesn't matter. Like, if there's an array of 4 targets all at the same distance in the same position, like, you don't really need to work on, like, how you set up on that one as much as something else that has, like, a mover sequence where you can barely hit it or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's probably not the greatest example of that. But, like, a stage that has no options where it's 4, 4, 4, like 4 targets, 4 targets, 4 targets, 4 targets, and everybody has to run it the same. You really don't have to spend as much time on that. And you can kind of just skip it over in the pre-walkthrough. If you're actually shooting on the stage, I don't think you can. You have to do everything else,
Yeah.
like you said.
All right. Well, that was a pretty good question. Let's move on to the next one. Why should I give a shit about Hammergate and the various rumblings about production? My biggest concern is that at a local level, it would be difficult to enforce the rules, and at level 2 and higher, your average RO would even miss mods and or wouldn't even know what to look for. So, Kim, when I say Hammergate, do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. Hopkins,
Yeah.
what is Hammergate? What are the rumblings about production? Like, what is this even about? I think we've discussed it before a little bit, not a lot.
I don't think we did too much, but Hammergate is early 2017. Is that timeline right?
I think that sounds about right.
There was a match where a competitor got bumped to open because he used an illegal hammer on his gun. That competitor complained to the board, and the board made it. No, it was late 2016 because it happened during SHOT Show. So I don't know. Whatever. Timeline doesn't matter. So a competitor
Well, they
got
didn't
bumped to
complain to
open
the
because
board. The guy had an aftermarket hammer in his CZ, and RO noticed it, and then took enforcement action, which is bumping the guy to open.
which is what the rules said you had to do at
Well,
that time.
That's correct. So then the guy, I think he sent a complaint to NROI.
Is that where it started?
I think so.
And then that brought along the rule adjustment that said you can change your hammers in production to aftermarket hammers, which goes distinctly against the rules.
It is against the verbiage of the rule book, isn't it?
Yes. But it was considered an adjustment, so they didn't have to follow the every 2-year rule change thing. The board just sidestepped that. And they've since sidestepped on other issues like bushings and guns. I think triggers on some other type of guns.
Yes. So basically, Kim, board's made some changes to the rules. Doesn't really call them changes, calls them rules adjustments for, for some other technical reasons having to do with what the bylaws say, that when they can change stuff and when they can't, things like that. That's a fair summary, isn't it, Hopkins?
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Okay, so I'm going to give the 2 reasons why somebody might care about this. Personally, I don't really care if you give a shit about it or not, but I'll give you the 2 reasons that people get worked up about this. And Hopkins, you can jump in if you'd like, but there's 2 reasons. So the first one's like the issue itself on its face, allowing more modifications to production division, things like that. I understand on one side you've got, hey, this is difficult to enforce, because it is true. If I take a gun and hand it to just some random RO and say, hey, is this gun legal or not for production? They might have a hard time telling me, depending on what they know about different guns, what type of gun it is, what's been done to it, things like that. That is very true. So a lot of people, I mean, I think really people think it's just sort of stupid to have a division that doesn't allow those sort of modifications, because there's lots of guns out there now, and there's aftermarket parts for them, and guys don't know what's aftermarket, what's not. And just the whole thing seems like an exercise in stupidity to not allow certain modifications when it's hard to tell. Other guys would say, hey, this is the way it is. It's pretty clear cut. It's not really that hard to enforce. And I think for the most part, competitors enforce it themselves because they don't want to have an illegal gun, because you may walk around for 2 years at matches with an aftermarket hammer and have nobody notice, but that one time at that one match that the one guy notices that hammer and he knows what he's looking at, and you end up in open division, you're going to have a bad time. So there's really no incentive to violate these rules anyway. So that would be the one thing. There's the issue on its face. The other part of it is the way the board's been handling this. And just an example, the Area 6 director posted on the Area 6 Facebook page, I think, Hopkins, and asked, hey, it's time to discuss changing production division. What changes would you guys like to see? And this has been going on long enough, and I know enough sort of inside baseball stuff that, I pay attention to this, that I am 95% sure that this guy's not really asking what anybody thinks. He doesn't really care. The board has already kind of decided what they'd like to do, and that's to, make production division a lot less restrictive and all that. That decision's already been made, but he's kind of acting like it's not made, and he's hoping that people are going to say the thing he wants them to say so that it kind of bolsters what the board already wants to do. Is that a fair thing to say, Hopkins?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, so
I think there's some levels of
go ahead.
Of what they want changed, depending on who the board member is or who's actually talking.
Yeah. So basically, the second issue is interacting with some people on the board, maybe the president, maybe the head of NROI, where it's like, if you talk to these people, they may or may not be honest. Because I will tell you, I think it's very likely that there'll be changes, but they may not be admitting that to you right now, or it may be some secret, or they're acting like they're taking input from you. And when people deal with, not even me, when they're dealing with the membership dishonestly like that, people get really pissed. Like the Area 6 director, basically, he asked the question, what changes would people like to see? And unsurprisingly, the poll, the voluntary response poll that they put out there was like 85% said, yeah, production's fine the way it is. Which I would say, yeah, production's fine the way it is. Like, why are you fucking with it? It's fine. I essentially don't really want it to change. I understand there's maybe some enforcement issues or whatever, but at the core of it, it's fine. There's no reason to fuck with it. It's okay. So when he got that answer overwhelmingly, he got angry or whatever, because it's not.
Didn't he?
Yeah, he exited the conversation basically because he didn't get the answer he liked. So when people are acting like they're soliciting feedback and then they get feedback they don't like and they get upset, that's telling you that, hey, your area director may not be dealing with you honestly. If you're in Area 6, that's definitely the case. If you're in other areas, I don't know, because I don't deal with all of them. But I would just tell you it's highly likely that they're going to make changes regardless of any feedback they get. Not to mention, as far as on a leadership level, this is a very, very stupid fight for the board and for the president to have, I think. Is that fair to say, Matt?
I think it's going to be very polarizing, depending on how they come out with it. But even them talking about it is already giving people opinions on.
Yeah, so if I look at the sport as it is now, the fight that I would pick is not production division rules. I would pick something else to fight about.
The number of divisions?
maybe the number of divisions we
Or
have.
certain divisions in there. Yeah.
Maybe at the area level, they want to start pushing more technical stages in some way. Maybe something like that. I don't know. There's a lot of different directions they can go, and for them to start fucking with production seems like a pointless fight to have. That, like, you know, they're going to anger not everybody, but some people are going to get upset about this, and then those people are kind of not going to be in opposition in the future just to make a point. So it's like, it seems like a dumb thing to do. So, I mean, if you care about it, you care about it. If you don't, you don't. That'd be my read on it. That's a fair assessment, you'd say, Hopkins?
Yeah, I'd say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on all that, Kim?
What? Was I listening? What was that?
That's perfect.
You're such a troll.
Yeah,
It's
I would.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, the right topic for now is 9 days of nationals and compensating the ROs a little bit better, maybe.
And adjusting and maybe enforcing the rules we have on the books.
And for ROs to serve 9 days or volunteer 9 days, it's pretty good commitment. Big commitment, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big commitment. So you have some problems with the nationals formatting.
No, the compensation for ROs.
Well, I think if you asked, the president would tell you that that's kind of linked in a pretty strong way to the fact that they have three nationals, 3 days each over the course of 9 days. That would directly affect the compensation for the ROs.
Yeah.
Could be wrong about that. Probably not. I think it's the way they split it up. But yes, Kim, that would be a very interesting conversation to have. But then, based on just this Hammergate thing, I would tell you, like, if I have that sort of a conversation, or I try to have that conversation, I will know that was going to fall on deaf ears, because the people running the show don't really give a shit what you think. Mm-hmm. So that's why this frustrates some people. I mean, people listening to this podcast, this is no surprise to them that I feel this way. All this does is kind of put more people in the boat that I've been in for a long time. Like, I know that they don't give a shit. I know that they're not listening. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Politics.
Yeah. They're going to do what they're going to do. When the time comes around to vote again, cast your votes accordingly. That's all you can really do.
I'm watching a lot of Star Wars these days, so I'm learning how the politics are going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Star Wars is definitely a good way to learn politics, Ken.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Merry band of retards here. All right, gentlemen. Well, that's all we've got today for your shooting questions. If you have shooting questions you'd like the answer to, go to bensaker.com. Send me your questions. We'd love to hear them. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Matt, for coming on.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it was your pleasure.